Hey everyone, it's the Knitty Professor. I'm outside on a rather breezy 91-degree day to talk about the challenges of knitting for the weather. And regardless of whether I'm making something or trying to complete a project that I want to wear or use, the challenges with the weather can be great, especially now with climate change. And I think so. We're in South Dakota. When I moved here, we were in zone 3, but now I'm pretty sure we're in zone 4. My sister is in Atlanta. Back in the day, they were zone 7. Now, guess what? Zone 8, So climate change is real, and it affects the way we knit. So I'll show you what I'd like to be working on. I would like to be working on this sweater, and I'll try not to drop too many stitches. So I actually have been making some progress. If I can get that in the frame there. Where we're at now is the yoke, as you can tell. I am making bunnies. I talked about this. I think I talked about this in German with my German viewers. Pretty cute stuff going on there. So I always get worried at this part in the yoke. I'm like, it's too wide, oh my gosh. But then of course when I start cinching things up, I'm like, no it's not, it's fine. I'm already dropping a couple stitches here. Nothing new, but it's just to work on this now. I have to have the air conditioning on, and it's a real challenge. It's only May, right? I mean, if I was in Arkansas and it was 91 on May, 13th, then it would make some kind of sense. But, we're pretty far north here. The sun is getting so far north, so by the time we hit the summer solstice, it's 10 before the sun sets. It's crazy. So the days are really getting long. We have really short days in the winter, really long days in the summer. So yeah, this is what I would prefer to be working on. But I get this wool all over my lap, and it's just hot. And I don't want to run the air conditioner stronger just so I can knit. I have to knit for the weather, right? Besides, I'm not going to wear this. Well, it's hard to say. Actually, the predicted low for Saturday is 36 degrees. So maybe I should get this done so I can wear it on Sunday morning. In any case, it's an issue. So what I started working on let me see if I brought it. Well, I didn't bring it out. I started working on a hat. So I might have put it in a short. In any case, I meant to bring it out. I brought out socks instead. But I started working on a hat with brown sheep worsted weight yarn. It's turning out really nice, and it's fun. It's small. It doesn't occupy. Sorry about the wind. The other day it was 40-mile-per-hour winds. I think they were down closer to like 20. So it might be a little windy. But in any case, so I started working on a hat. It's not going to take up my whole lap, even though it's wool. I still get to work with wool. But I have been going back to my socks. Of course, you all know when I was doing my practicum at the School for the Blind, I was observing, and so I was doing a lot of sock knitting there. But isn't this yarn pretty? I really like this. I don't know how well you can see it out here. But it's it's kind of a antique-y, gold, coppery type of vibe, and I just love it. I don't have the label with me. I'll have to try to look that up. But here's another pair of socks that it kind of matches this very, very summery mid-spring weather, which I was holding up earlier. Isn't that fun? I think the color is called Confetti. So I might spend some time working on these tonight. It's just so warm. And I try not to run the air conditioning at night. At least at night it gets down to the 60s. So that's bearable. But yeah, I forgot the yarn label for this too. I put my socks in various and sundry project bags. Isn't that cute? I think I got this in Norway. That's really cute. But I was thinking about what I could be working on that would be more seasonal besides a hat that I'm not going to wear for 5 months. And I got out some cotton yarn. Now this is just some Cascade. I'm pretty sure I bought this in Colorado Springs. They have like this discount yarn store. I'm not even sure it's still there. Made in Brazil by Circulo. I could make some washcloths. I got out this fun book. It's got a lot of nice patterns. I've made a few out of here. And to be honest, I could always use more. I could make them for my kids. I could make them for friends. That'd be a cool project. I've got another color. I think these two would look fun together. Could do like a pair of washcloths, or I could do like some stripes, or figure out a way to use both colors. Then I have this cotton yarn from Virginia. It's an Old Dominion collection. And I think about that same place at this store in Colorado Springs. It was a few years back. Kettle dyed. This color is cornflower. It's really pretty. I like that sort of dull purple. And this, it feels just really natural. More so than the Cascade, as you can imagine. And this is, for what it's worth, Cottonfield White is the name of this color. So it might be fun. I've even toyed with doing like towels or even bath mats. I think it'd be really fun to try to do that. That would be more seasonal. So, yeah, it's a challenge. In the meantime, now that the semester's over, I have a little more time for reading. And it's been really fun. I so appreciate a lot of you have been writing very, very thoughtful comments on some of the more philosophical leaning videos that I've done. And I really want to lean into some of that topics because I learned so much from you. And I learned a lot from doing the research. Now, this is a book that was featured on Jillian Eve, Worn, A People's History of Clothing. So I would like very much to read this. It says, a must-read for anyone who takes fashion seriously. And I think even beyond just fashion, I think that a friend of mine actually did her doctorate in apparel. And I should actually bend her ear a little bit. It's been a while since I talked to her. She teaches at Colorado State. And I remember reading her master's thesis. It was really interesting. I would have to dredge up the topic of it. But I think looking at clothing, you know, just the fact that humans across the world and across history have always worn clothing compared to my cat. No clothing, right? That alone intrigues me. And it says something profound about the relationship of human beings to their bodies, but also to the climate. Because obviously it's also an adaptation. But it's hugely cultural. And the story of production of clothing and status in clothing, the wearing of clothing, there's just so much. So I'm looking forward to digging into this book. Who knows? If you've read it, tell me. I would love to know your thoughts on like what I can look forward to. But I'm sure that I will learn a ton that I'll probably, in one way or another, I'll share. You know, cross-reference this with some other things that I'm going to look at. And then I picked up this book, Crafting Dissent. So this was, I read the introduction, and this was written or like collected. It's actually a collection of essays in the wake of the whole Pussy Hat movement. So it has, well, here, I'll just read you a couple of the titles. I'm really looking for it. This just came today. I'm excited to dig into. And some of this really intrigues me because of the stuff I've been working on in my novels. For example, book one touches on the Underground Railroad and slavery and cotton production as like a historical aspect. You know, it's a lighthearted romance, but still there's some, you know, serious material that kind of enters into it. So one chapter is the Underground Railroad Quilt Code Myth and the Culture of Craft Experience. There's another one called The Anti-Craft Activism of Enslaved Americans, Conspicuous Consumption as Resistance. Another form of resistance that I actually touch on in my novel, which hopefully this is the one that's going to come out in July, is how enslaved people resisted the way their agency was stripped from them by, for example, spinning as slowly as they could, or knitting as slowly as they could, or just producing whatever. It's basically minimizing the theft of their labor. Really interesting concept. I read a doctoral dissertation about that. It was just fascinating. Let's see what else I'm going to get to read in here. How to Smash the Patriarchy, a guide for fat old ladies and their friends. That sounds really exciting. Crafting the vulva quilt, a community response to being silenced. Mending our clothing, mending the world. So there are tons of essays in here. Again, if you've read this and you want to clue us into some things to expect, let me know. But I look forward to digging in and drawing from these readings as well as some of my other readings. I did a video, you'll probably remember, about Hannah Rügen and her use of weaving as political rebellion, and I still want to learn more about her. So in any case, this is something I can do if I'm all hot on a day like today when it's 91 on May 13th, which is just insane. I don't know what the normal high is for this time of year, but I'm gonna say it's in the mid-70s. Now we will get down to the 60s though in 3 days. So I may be able to work on my sweater, which of course appropriately is in this Christmas themed bag, which was made in India and which I bought from Marshalls. So let me know what you're working on in your weather, and if you have some suggestions. I have never knit tops. Unfortunately, I'm not that feminine to wear some of the cotton tops that I see women knitting and wearing in the summer. I'm very much a tomboy. For example, I sewed this blouse. I should call it a shirt because it's a man's pattern, and this is more my vibe. So this is another thing I could do, right? I could go in my basement and whip out the sewing machine and sew some more shirts. That would be actually pretty fun. I've been obsessed with writing and editing lately, so my time has been a little bit minimized. But in any case, I think it'd be interesting to have a discussion, regardless of which direction it goes, about let's just put it this way, any crafting that you do over the summer, and share with us how is it relating to the fact that our climate is changing. I saw another cool video as a TED Talk actually from an artist that argued that precisely now when the world is on fire is the time to make art. It's the best time to make art. So I think it's a topic that is going, unfortunately, to be relevant for quite a while moving forward. So we might as well plan how we're going to make art, how we're going to craft, how we are going to make with our hands to create while the world is on fire. Because I think it's actually more intimately tied with our survival than we may realize. And this is something I plan to study further, because I want to pass it along to my children as well. I think it's really important for them to be makers, to enhance their agency at a time when it just seems like it's being attenuated at every turn. So I look forward to seeing your comments. I appreciate all the new subscribers, and if you have suggestions for anything that you would like me to dig into, let me know. As soon as I finish the sweater, I will finish it. I'm going to do a video on that, and I'm looking forward to it. And I also know that some of you signed up for my newsletter, which is very exciting, so I am collecting ideas for that and going to try to get that out by the end of the month. That's my goal. So I'm excited because I think that's actually going to be kind of fun. So take care. Enjoy your knitting, your crocheting, your weaving, your spinning, your crafting, your reading, and we'll talk soon. Bye.